Hello and welcome to Sport This Morning. I'm Cecilia Amogbe.
Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let's start you off with the news making the rounds from this part of the world. Let's talk about the Golden Girl and talk about wrestling on the show this morning. We're talking about Odunayo Adekuroye, of course, the two-time Commonwealth champion, of course, reigned supreme in Rome at the Matteo Pellicone Ranking Series tournament, claiming gold in a very dominant fashion in the 57-kilogram class. We're going to be talking much more about Odunayo later on, but of course, she continues to make us proud.
Yeah, absolutely. And by this particular one, it simply means her ranking is improving ahead of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Also on the program, we're taking a look at big matches coming up in the Nigeria Professional Football League match day 16. We get us talking on the show. Judging from what happened midweek, where you have Aqua United and Dakada FC losing at home, won by 2-0, and the second one by 3-0. So looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be another round of big matches.
All right, interesting matches to look forward to. Kano Pillars up against Aqua United. I think that's poised to be very interesting. Nasarawa United up against Warri Wolves. We'll see what's going to happen in all of those interesting fixtures. Let's go to the NBA now. And of course, let's talk about something that happened in the NBA. Very, very interesting matchup. And of course, the New Orleans Pelicans, they head past the Utah Jazz, bringing to an end their 10-game winning streak. And of course, one man was largely responsible for what happened in that game. We're going to talk about that man later on the show. But that's how we start you off today with the NBA, talking about a whole lot of interesting things happening in the world of sports. And that's where we start the show. Cecilia, let's talk about the results. Very, very interesting things to talk about. The Clippers, Pelicans, Warriors still suffering from the blues. I don't know what's happening.
Absolutely. I thought they were going to win that game, but then it just wasn't to be for them. Let's take a look at the results coming from the NBA. The Knicks and the Sun, that's where we're starting from this morning. It was 98-121 for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker scoring 29 points and the 6th control of the third quarter pulled away for a rout of the host New York Knicks. Rookie Rubio also returned from that one-game absence because of personal reasons, collected 25 points, 3 assists, and 8 rebounds. So for Phoenix Suns, it's their 6th win in 10 matches. And the Bucks and Celtics was always going to be a dicey one. But then when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo scoring, firing from everywhere, every corner, this time around they had 32 points. Chris Middleton also added 22, and Milwaukee Bucks, they started fast. They had just enough time in the end, opening that double-digit lead into the 5 minutes into the game, and of course, ending that victory over the Boston Celtics. Another, Kemba Walker in this particular game scored 40 points with 11 rebounds, and Marcus Smart added 24, but then it wasn't enough for the Celtics, falling for the second time in 2 nights, and then lost for the 5th time in the last 7 games. Okay, Pelicans and the Jazz. That's our star match of the day. You know, we're going to keep it because the drama here was remarkable. Brandon Ingram, one of the players that were actually, traded for AD, I mean, he's on fire right now. We're talking about, 49 points. It was wonderful. Then the Warriors and the Nuggets, that game went into overtime, For the Warriors and the Nuggets, I thought the Warriors might just shock everyone. But somehow it just wasn't to be. Mason Plumlee slammed down a pair of dunks, and Will Burton also nailed a back-breaking 3-pointer in an 8-point one in overtime. And of course, for the Golden State Warriors, well, it just wasn't to be because the Denver Nuggets had to come from behind to actually win this, playing the second night back-to-back without injured star Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, and Jamal Murray. But then they were able to also get the better of the Golden State Warriors. It's only when they win it becomes news, because this time around they just lose.
Don't forget to talk about the Clippers as well.
The Clippers and of course the Orlando Magic. Kawhi Leonard, of course, a game high of 32 points in that one, and the Clippers were able to roll over the Orlando Magic, and it was the same Orlando Magic who rolled it over the LA Lakers. But then the Clippers just didn't fall for that because it was a 1-game point. This time around they were practically outscored and outbeaten outsmarted.
And Kawhi
by
telling
the
his
Yeah.
colleagues, don't gas out, please. Save your best for when it's
For
important. Let's just do the important things. Don't play all your best games and go into the playoffs and just gas out.
Gas on
Because
everything.
he's, I think he wants to do it back to back, but time will tell. We'll see.
We'll see if he's going to do that. Okay, our star match for the day. Yes, let's talk about this one. New Orleans Pelicans. You'll be like, okay, why are we picking this one? It's simply because of the drama that really happened in this game. Brandon Ingram, we mentioned him earlier, scored a career high of 49 points. And won a shootout with Donovan Mitchell, who also, had some good times. He had some good numbers in the game, but then it wasn't enough because he also had a career high of 46 points and all that. But Ingram made 5 free throws, I think it's actually in the last moment of the game.
When lost the ball and this guy went the other way and AD went to Lakers, a lot of people say, what are these guys? What are they up to? What are they
I'm
up to?
still
What's
very
happening?
upset, because you have youngsters who are coming up. I thought, okay,
You let the young core grow. But
Lakers better win the ring.
because
if they don't, then
a lot of people will point to this kind of decision and say, but for the young man, Brandon Ingram, 49 points, like you said, career high, and you talk about a shooting match with his guy on the opposite number, Donovan Mitchell, and he came out tops.
Yeah.
Even Donovan too had amassed a
Career
huge
high,
number of points, but on the day, it was this guy that was receiving the hugs, the accolades, the handshakes, and even after this game, it was more like an ovation for him from when he came into the locker room. All his colleagues were chanting and praises were coming his way. So a good one for him. And I don't know if we can say they're not missing AD. I don't know. But time will tell, though. Time will tell. But with this kind of game, it's looking like it wasn't really a bad decision. Probably a well thought out decision.
Yeah, just maybe, as you said, just maybe. But then we know that there's a guy that is also coming. Zion is coming in. Williamson, right? He's going to join this same team. That's the team where everyone was actually anticipating, looking forward to how are they going to play. But with this kind of performance right now, when Zion returns, okay, so you have to say what's going to happen. Lonzo Ball and all these youngsters, exciting to watch.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to watch. Let's take a look at the top guys who put up some numbers on the night. We have about 5 of them here, starting with the guy on the losing side, put up these big numbers, 46, 6, and 2. Well, it wasn't enough because the New Orleans Pelicans were on fire on the night.
Just say Brandon Ingram was inspired on the night and ensured that this 46 points wasn't a win.
Taking the game into overtime.
Ideally, in some situations, it would be a win, but just ensure it wasn't a win. But, a lot of players would take team victories over personal accolades, but that's the only thing that Donovan gets today. Doing well, playing well, but he still ended up on the losing side.
Yeah, ended up on the losing. Giannis Antetokounmpo double-double on the night, 32, 17, and 7, and it was enough for his side to beat the Boston Celtics 128 and 123. So he was really instrumental in that one. Another player that will get our attention this morning happens to be, of course, Kemba Walker. I mean, today was really remarkable because he had some players who put up some good numbers, but then somehow it just wasn't enough. It had 40, 11, and 3, but then it was on the losing side also.
I've seen Kemba frustrated a lot of times this season, but we'll see. But on a personal note, very, very decent player.
Absolutely. Okay, Kawhi Leonard is the last one this morning, and of course he put up some numbers, 32, 5, and 5. You mentioned what he had to do to his teammate. Take it easy, Let's just see how we can roll over this one and get on. Put up some numbers, and the Clippers were able to get the better of the Orlando Magic, so they didn't want that shock of what happened to the Lakers overnight. So to put up these numbers, and they were able to get it. Okay, Brandon Ingram, the guy who exploded. Exploded career high shootout, 49, 8, and 6. Remarkable. He's never done this before. So we'll see if he's going to continue with this one, because this performance actually
that's really interesting. That's interesting.
Winning streak.
Is it going to be a one-off, or is it going to be on that level? You talk about the beard. When you see 49, when you say you are not surprised because he does it on a regular.
All the time.
So for Brandon, we're going to see if it's going to be a career high and remain a career high, or he's going to be playing at that level.
At that particular level. Just sustain it. Okay. Now, something good is coming to Africa. We've been talking about it since last year, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the Basketball Africa League in partnership with the NBA and FIBA Africa. So this is going to be the club competitions for African teams. That is, the champions of each country will have to play in this one. So right now, they're starting with 12 countries or 12 clubs. So 12 teams are playing. And, of course, it's big, it's huge. I mean, the press conference, was heralded yesterday in Lagos to actually tell everyone, okay, we're here,
we're ready,
we're ready, we're about to start. It's going to be in March. Rivers Hoopers is Nigeria's representative by virtue of the fact that they won the President's Cup that was organized. So what the message they're actually sending out right now to all the Nigerian teams and the Nigerian league is the best of the best will have to be in this. So for the best of the best to be in the African Basketball League, it's a Basketball African League. It simply means a league needs to be top.
And from the Nigerian, and one of the rules is that a large percentage of players on that team must be from that country.
Absolutely.
And to me, I think that's going to improve our basketball. There's a little quota for players. Maybe you want to take somebody who's not really from that number, little. So it means that whoever is representing us has to take players. And definitely, you have to step up your game. And what this has done is that you're able to match yourself up against the best on the continent. And I agree with you, definitely your game must grow.
Okay, we had a special interview with the president of NBA African Basketball League talking about Amadou Fallo. He was on Sports Night the previous night, but then we had this special interview with him talking more about the benefits this is going to be for African teams.
Good morning.
What is the Basketball Africa League about?
Well, the Basketball Africa League is a partnership between FIBA, the world's governing body for basketball, and the National Basketball Association. We are committed to building the Basketball Africa League into a world-class sports and entertainment property to provide talented young players from across the continent an opportunity to showcase their talent. I think there's a huge gap in terms of professional basketball in the continent. Since we opened our office in 2010, we focus a lot of energy and making sure we create participation opportunities for young boys and girls with passion for the sport. And we've spent the past decade since we've been at NBA Africa to just make the sport relevant, to make it accessible, to both young players and also fans who want to experience it. We've done, a number of initiatives, and we feel that, all that work now is culminating into this professional league that is going to attract global talent, that is going to also, contribute in so many ways in the economic growth of the continent because, as we know, sports and entertainment contribute greatly in GDPs of many countries in the West, and we want to make sure that Africa doesn't get bypassed. It's about really showcasing the tremendous talent we have on the continent. We see the momentum that our players and executives are having, in our league, in the NBA. Masai Ujiri, son of the soil here, winning the NBA championship last year with the Toronto Raptors, with top players from the continent, Pascal Siakam, who was the most improved player in the NBA last year from Cameroon, Serge Ibaka, Ogi Anunoby, and you have people who are also on the bench or in the front office like Patrick Engelbrecht from South Africa, who's the director of global scouting, Patrick Mutombo, who's an assistant coach from DRC. So all that momentum, I think, really is what we're going to also translate right here on the continent, and just to provide an aspirational level for basketball, not only for players, but people who can, as you know, we see the product on the court, but there's so much that goes into really creating that product. You got coaching, refereeing, you have marketeers and people who broadcast the game.
Okay, we have Tracy Tracy is in the building this Friday morning. Okay, she was also at the round table yesterday. Before listening to all the people who have been talking about this and the benefits it's going to have for African teams. Tracy, good morning, and it's good to have you.
Good morning. I guess why you're sleeping over the name is because you call me Swatu, so you're not sure which of the name to drop it. But it's a good one to be here. It was a very fantastic time yesterday at the round table. It was interesting to see former basketballers who were now into the system trying to make things happen. And it seemed like they had a business structure on ground that may just make this be a lasting kind of franchise and something other professional basketballers that can go and make it in NBA can actually have something thriving. Yeah. By the way, it's lovely to see you too.
Okay. Okay, then let's have a breakdown, right?
Yeah.
Take a look at the breakdown, the overview of what it's like for those of us who really don't understand, the whole essence of this, the breakdown of what it is like and how it all came to be. Talking about the partnership between FIBA and the NBA. That is actually a new professional league featuring about 12 clubs teams from across Africa. And the new league marks the NBA's first collaboration to operate a league outside North Africa. And also the fact that the first NBA and BAL combined had a 2-day scouting event featuring about 50 aspiring players from Africa, the US, and around the world. It took place on Wednesday, 4th to December 5th. Last year, it was at the Brooklyn Nets, their practice facilities, and you had some players who actually came around, they were scouted, and some of them will be playing in the BAL. The inaugural BAL season will take place in Cairo, in Egypt. We also have Senegal is also there. Nigeria, of course, is going to be in Lagos. Rivers Hoopers representing Nigeria. Luanda in Angola. Rabat, Morocco. And, of course, Monastir, that's in Tunisia. And Kigali, Rwanda, will host the first ever BAL final. So, in the beginning of March, 6 cities will host the regular season that will feature about 12 teams divided into 2 conferences, with each conference playing in 3 cities. And the regular season will see the 12 teams play 5 games each, with the top 3 teams in each conference qualifying for the playoffs. And finally, each of the 12 teams participating in the inaugural season of the BAL will have up to 16 players. That's what Yemi was trying to explain earlier. 16 players, 12 active and 4 inactive, and at least 8 of whom will be citizens in the respective team's home country, and up to 4 of whom can be from other countries, with no more than 2 players per team from outside of Africa. So you've got opportunity to have players even from the US, but no more than 2 per team. But then other African countries also, maybe a player from Angola can come to Nigeria and want to play.
I love it.
So that's the opportunity. But the thing is, you need to have at least 8 players from your country to be able to be in 16. It's kind of a large pool.
I like it because even the national teams do not have that kind of set rules that, what is 8 home-based players are going to be in this particular team. We just be like, it's Africa for Africa, Nigeria for Nigeria. So sometimes we can even field a team that has players that have been playing in the abroad as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 that play or are based in Nigeria. So it's really, really nice to see that international exposure can be given to a guy that maybe started from, the Raptors or the Defenders or something like that. But thankfully, we have Rivers Hoopers who are a Port Harcourt-based side. They are the ones who are going to be setting up for us in Nigeria, representing us. And so far, so good. When they went for the regular club championships, even when they used bus, they were beating people. Now they will be having an aeroplane to fly with. I feel like maybe we might even get, I don't want to be over-optimistic, but I feel like with the kind of Hoopers boys that we've seen so far and the kind of structures Hoopers were able to keep and manage to maintain, it's a good way to reward them for being consistent. So all the clubs that have been consistent with structure get to see their structures rewarded. The best parts for me was the fact that it wasn't just the fact that they said, okay, we'll start with 16. There's an expansion. Just like the NBA format, there's also an opportunity for us to get G Leagues. The way the NBA has in the Americas, we could have that. We will also have WNBA for the women, and that's in contention. We also have opportunities for teenagers, because these were questions we threw at this at Amadou, and it was like, teenagers can have an opportunity to come and still dance Alaba on this basketball field. So you mean my kid can play professional basketball and still make it and stitch up money? I love it.
Yeah, I like everything you've said. And there were some people you could call critical stakeholders there as well yesterday. We've talked about composition of teams, and let's listen to former Tigers captain Olumide Oyedeji having his say, talking about this tournament, how he feels it should improve Nigerian players.
It's a great feeling, the great and a wonderful atmosphere. That the basketball is coming to Africa in the NBA style. The basketball is coming to Africa in a grand style, the more organized and excited. But just got a little jealous that I didn't have this during my days. But excited to be part of it. Excited to grow the game in the continent, and just to be part of this Basketball African League, to me, is exciting enough. And they're also doing it right here in Nigeria. It's going to really challenge how the players play, the mentality, and how every club we want to play in this Basketball African League. So I'm excited to be to see this happening. But the honest truth and the sad part of it is just like I want to see the best. But right now in how basketball in this country at this moment, we're not going to get the best because everything we all know what's going on with it politically. So it's not going to help us to put our house in order, which is going to be challenged. I pray everything is over so that we can get the best out of this and with our performance so we can get more slots.
I think that the BAL goes beyond even the basketball. There's going to be a lot of economic benefit that's going to come away from the BAL, especially when it comes to our infrastructure, which is a main issue that we have in Africa. Building of arenas, building of stadiums, or like you see what's happened already in Kigali. That's already a huge plus. So we expect that to translate across Africa. And then obviously with only 12 teams starting this year, we expect that those teams to continue to grow on a year-on-year basis. And that means that more countries will be able to participate and they will then have to build more facilities. I already know it's going to be successful in terms of, obviously, turnout is going to be there. The format that which the BL has chosen for the inaugural season, I think is actually very good in terms of being able to get their feet wet, not have a full blown out 50-game league season, which can be very, very difficult. I think the internal workings of the organization capacity has to be built up over time. But I think that this first season with the format tournaments in several cities gives it a way to launch into the market, get people excited, have a short but exciting set of games, and then eventually get to the finals. And then I think that by the time the first year is completed, there will be huge learnings, and then we'll have a full year, several months, to be able to put up even more in terms of the number of games that are played during the regular season.
All right, welcome back. Tracy, you heard those words, and I can agree less with everything they said. Opportunity, apart from the basketball, apart from seeing top stars, apart from seeing stars emerge, apart from seeing the stars we already know, the facilities. I mean, because you want to host games, you're going to touch up your facilities.
I like that Obina mentioned that because, you see, for most Nigerians, we don't even know that this same guy that played basketball, Obina, was one of the business minds behind some of the biggest tourism kind of outfits in Nigeria. So they understand this. You already see someone who already did the African Basketball League. They understand how grueling, how financially sapping it is to try something like this. So when he tells you, someone like that tells you, even the conversation I had with Mutule, who's the South African head of marketing for this outfit, it seemed to ring towards proper reasoning. If you don't stretch out the format, you make it a little bit, condensed, it doesn't make it too convoluted. So that means you can manage your resources. You can get the best results, first of all. And then look at the structure. The final is going to be in Kigali simply because President Kagame decided that there's a future in basketball and set up a proper modern-day structure. So imagine if, moving forward, Lagos State takes the gumption and says, you know, the way we have Oracle Staples Center in the LA, let's have something like that here. And you have something like that. And you know that there will be constant basketball or other sporting activities. Money will come in, if not almost every other week. It's almost week in, week out, depending on how much of the format is stretched. Right. So I feel like it's a structure. I love any innovation in sports that has proper structure. If it has a proper structure, it is bound to last. If it doesn't, that means it's just a white elephant thing. So my best of luck.
All right.
I think so, because I love what Obina Ikezi said. He's a former NBA player, former Nigerian player, and all that. So we also heard from Lumide Udeji. These are former players who understand the game and know that it's going to be sustainable in the sense that the structure, as you mentioned, is actually right. So it's been set up. So because of that, they know once the structure is right, and obviously we'll get something good.
One of the things that even kicked my head up was the fact that one of the biggest challenges we have had in Africa when it comes to exporting our sporting talent is publicity, visibility. These days, it takes a lot of internet people. I'll carry my phone and I'll do a video of somebody making the basket or making the dribble, and that will be what most Nigerians will get to see about a particular player. So we only talk about the ones that are seen on Instagram or the ones that are visible on their social media platforms. Now, after a conversation with the president, he was saying that between now and the ending of February, and this league is supposed to start in March, they are set to get a TV rights or TV rights done and sorted. And not just TV rights, online rights. So that's something that is structured. And should they make that happen, it's going to be a field day for basketball.
All right.
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. I love the fact that they know, most of these African countries will know that they need to start building facilities, especially in Nigeria. I mean, as you mentioned, we know why Kigali is actually the place for the final, because of what
They're ready.
Absolutely, they're ready.